In New Jersey, a political and legal storm is brewing around U.S. Representative LaMonica McIver, a name that, until recently, was synonymous with hope and progress for many in her district. Known for her passionate advocacy and her ability to connect with everyday people, McIver quickly rose through the ranks of the Democratic Party, earning a reputation as a leader unafraid to challenge the status quo. But now, this rising Democratic star finds herself at the center of a federal investigation, facing charges that could end her political career and alter the landscape of New Jersey politics for years to come. The allegations have sent shockwaves through her community and the halls of Congress alike. The controversy erupted after a tense confrontation at a Newark detention center, an incident that not only led to the dramatic arrest of the city's mayor, but also placed McIver under intense legal scrutiny. Prosecutors allege that McIver's involvement went far beyond her official duties, suggesting she played a direct role in escalating the situation. As the case unfolds, it has ignited fierce debates across the state and the nation about the separation of powers, the responsibilities of elected officials, and the boundaries of political protest. Some see McIver's actions as a principled stand against injustice, while others argue she overstepped her authority. Her supporters rally behind her, calling her a dedicated public servant who is being unfairly targeted for simply doing her job, providing oversight and standing up for her constituents in a time of crisis. They point to her long record of service and her commitment to transparency and accountability. On the other side, prosecutors and critics insist that no one is above the law, not even a member of Congress. They argue that McIver's actions crossed a clear legal line, and that holding her accountable is essential to maintaining the rule of law and public trust in government institutions. At the heart of the case lies a fundamental question: did McIver's actions fall within the legitimate scope of her duties as a congresswoman, or did she use her position to interfere with law enforcement and obstruct justice? The answer could have far-reaching implications for how lawmakers interact with other branches of government. The courtroom drama is set to test the limits of congressional immunity and the definition of criminal conduct for elected officials. Legal experts warn that the outcome could set a precedent, influencing future cases involving political protest and official conduct. The verdict could ultimately redefine the boundaries of legislative authority and oversight, not just in New Jersey, but across the country. Lawmakers everywhere are watching closely, aware that the decision may affect their own ability to advocate for their communities. The case also raises a critical question for American democracy. Is a lawmaker protected when acting in the interests of their constituents, or does that shield disappear if their actions become confrontational, physical, or obstructive? As tensions rise and the nation debates the proper limits of protest and power, the line between advocacy and illegality has never seemed more blurred. The outcome will not only determine McIver's fate, but could also shape the future of political engagement in America. In the coming weeks, we'll break down the facts, examine the legal arguments, and explore what's truly at stake for democracy as this high-profile case unfolds. The conflict erupted at Delaney Hall, a sprawling detention center on the outskirts of Newark, New Jersey. For years, this facility has stood as a symbol of the city's complicated relationship with immigration enforcement and criminal justice. Its imposing walls and ever-present security have made it a focal point for both community concern and government scrutiny. Community advocates have long criticized Delaney Hall, raising alarms about the treatment of detainees and the lack of transparency in its operations. Protests outside its gates have become a familiar sight, with activists demanding answers and accountability from those in charge. In response to mounting public pressure, local officials, led by Newark's Mayor Ras Baraka and joined by Congresswoman LaMonica McIver, organized a high-profile oversight visit. Their goal was clear: to see firsthand the conditions inside Delaney Hall and to speak directly with those being held within its walls. Confident in their elected authority, the officials arrived expecting full cooperation. They believed their positions not only granted them access, but also obligated them to ensure the welfare of their constituents, especially those most vulnerable. But as they approached the entrance, federal agents and security personnel blocked their way. Citing strict security protocols and federal jurisdiction, the agents refused to allow the officials inside, immediately creating a tense and unexpected standoff. The officials, undeterred, insisted on their right to inspect the facility. They argued that transparency and oversight were essential, especially given the ongoing concerns raised by the community. The agents, however, stood firm, refusing to yield and escalating the confrontation. What began as a routine oversight visit quickly devolved into a heated dispute over authority transparency and the rights of elected officials versus federal power. The scene outside Delaney Hall grew increasingly chaotic, with raised voices and mounting frustration on both sides. For the officials, the denial of entry felt like a deliberate obstruction, an attempt to hide what was happening inside. For the federal agents, it was a matter of following orders and maintaining security, regardless of political pressure. This volatile clash between local leaders and federal authorities set the stage for an even larger confrontation, one that would draw national attention and force a reckoning over who truly holds power in moments of crisis. As tensions in City Hall reached a boiling point, federal agents moved in swiftly, arresting Mayor Baraka on charges of impeding their official duties. The scene was electric with disbelief and confusion, as city officials and staff looked on in shock, unable to process the sudden turn of events. The mayor, a prominent and often controversial figure, had been at the center of heated debates for weeks, but few expected the situation to escalate to this level. The arrest sent ripples through the crowd, with some shouting in protest, and others frozen in stunned silence. In the midst of the chaos, Representative McIver, who had been observing the unfolding events from the sidelines, suddenly stepped forward. Her presence shifted from that of a concerned onlooker to an active participant as she pushed her way through the crowd, determined to intervene. Witnesses recall her face set with determination, her voice raised above the din as she called for calm and demanded answers from the agents. According to prosecutors, McIver's intervention quickly escalated. They alleged that she forcefully attempted to prevent the mayor's arrest, at one point slamming her forearm into a federal agent in an effort to break their grip. The confrontation became physical, drawing the attention of both law enforcement and bystanders, who began recording the incident on their phones. In a desperate attempt to shield Mayor Baraka, McIver wrapped her arms around him, refusing to let go as agents tried to separate them. The emotional moment was captured in photographs and video, quickly spreading across social media and fueling public debate about the incident. Prosecutors claim that McIver's actions amounted to unlawful interference with law enforcement, arguing that her physical resistance crossed the line from protest to obstruction. They maintain that her conduct hindered the agents' ability to carry out their duties and put both officials and officers at risk. However, McIver's supporters see things very differently. They argue that she acted on instinct, motivated by a genuine desire to de-escalate what she perceived as an unnecessarily aggressive arrest. To them, her actions were those of a protector, not a criminal, and they have rallied in her defense, organizing demonstrations and calling for the charges to be dropped. Supporters frame McIver's intervention as an act of courage and compassion, insisting that she was simply trying to prevent harm and uphold the rights of her colleague. They point to her long record of public service and advocacy as evidence of her good intentions. Now the case hinges on whether the prosecution can prove that McIver's actions were not only intentional, but also obstructive under the law. The courtroom will become the stage for a heated battle over the facts, with both sides presenting evidence and witness testimony. The defense is expected to argue that context and intent matter, emphasizing the chaotic environment and McIver's state of mind. They will contend that her actions were a reasonable response to an extraordinary situation, not a calculated attempt to break the law. This brief but explosive confrontation has now become the focal point of a high-stakes criminal case, raising questions about the limits of protest, the responsibilities of public officials, and the fine line between resistance and obstruction. The U.S. Attorney's Office indicted McIver on 3 felony charges: assaulting, resisting, and impeding a federal officer. Assault doesn't require injury, just intentional, forceful contact meant to interfere. Prosecutors say McIver's actions meet this standard. The defense disputes her intent. Resisting and impeding charges stem from her alleged efforts to prevent the mayor's arrest. Prosecutors argue she created a physical barrier, hindering agents. McIver pleaded not guilty, challenging the prosecution's narrative and legal definitions. The government must prove her actions and intent beyond a reasonable doubt. The case now centers on interpreting her conduct during those chaotic seconds. The stakes: significant, prison time, fines, and a precedent for congressional conduct. McIver's defense, led by Paul Fishman, moved to dismiss the case under the Constitution's speech or debate clause. They argued her visit was official oversight, a protected legislative act. Any actions taken during the visit, they claimed, were shielded from prosecution. The defense warned that prosecuting lawmakers for oversight would chill congressional investigations. They framed the charges as politically motivated retaliation by the executive branch. The motion asked the court to protect McIver's actions as part of her legislative duties. This set up a pivotal legal test for the court. Judge Jamel Semper denied McIver's motion to dismiss, ruling she must stand trial. He found her alleged actions, physical interference with federal agents, were not protected legislative acts. Visiting a facility for oversight is legitimate, but assaulting an officer is not. The speech or debate clause, he wrote, doesn't grant blanket immunity for criminal conduct. The judge also rejected claims of political prosecution, citing lack of evidence. The ruling moves the case from constitutional debate to a trial focused on the facts. McIver now faces prosecution on the merits of her actions, not her status as a lawmaker. The legal battle shifts to the courtroom. The speech or debate clause in Article 1, Section 6 of the Constitution protects lawmakers from prosecution for legislative acts. Its purpose to ensure Congress can operate independently, free from executive intimidation. The Supreme Court has interpreted this protection to cover speeches, votes, and committee work, but not criminal acts. Judge Semper drew this line, ruling McIver's alleged assault was not a legislative act. The defense argued for broad protection during oversight. The judge disagreed. The ruling reinforces that the clause shields debate, not physical altercations. Lawmakers are protected for their words and votes, not for alleged crimes. This precedent narrows the scope of congressional immunity. After the ruling, McIver and her team doubled down, calling the prosecution politically motivated. She claimed the case was meant to intimidate her and silence oversight. Her attorney argued there's a double standard in how justice is applied. While the judge rejected this claim for now, the defense will keep pressing it in court and public opinion. They hope to sway jurors and the public by framing the case as political retaliation. Prosecutors insist the case is about upholding the law, not politics. They argue McIver's status doesn't exempt her from accountability. With the motion to dismiss denied, McIver's case heads to trial. Both sides will exchange evidence, depose witnesses, and argue over admissibility. The trial will feature testimony from agents, officials, and possibly McIver herself. The prosecution must prove intent and criminal conduct beyond a reasonable doubt. The defense will challenge the narrative, emphasizing context and motive. A guilty verdict could mean prison and political fallout. Acquittal would clear her name. The outcome will shape the boundaries of legislative power and protest. This trial is a defining moment for Congress, the courts, and the country.